Most of us go through life believing that we are our thoughts. That the voice in our head, the one that narrates, criticizes, remembers, and predicts, is who we truly are. But have you ever stopped and truly observed your mind? Have you noticed that thoughts arise without your conscious control? That they appear, stay for a while, and then fade. Just like clouds passing through the sky. If you are the one watching your thoughts, then how can you also be the one thinking them? This paradox is one of the most profound mysteries of human consciousness. And in this video, we're going deep into the nature of thought, the mind, and the real you, beyond the noise of your thinking. Prepare to see reality in a way you never have before. Scientists estimate that the human brain generates around 60,000 thoughts per day. But how many of those thoughts are truly intentional? Have you ever noticed how thoughts seem to come and go on their own? How memories, fears, desires, and random ideas pop up without any conscious effort? If you were truly in control of your mind, wouldn't you be able to stop thinking at will? Try it. Close your eyes and silence your thoughts completely for the next 30 seconds. Did you succeed? Most people can't. And that's because the brain is not an obedient servant. It's a machine designed for thinking, whether you like it or not. This is where an ancient truth starts to emerge. If you are not the one generating these thoughts, then who, or what, is? Throughout history, philosophers and spiritual teachers have pointed to a deeper aspect of ourselves beyond thought. Eckhart Tolle calls it the observer. Buddhism refers to it as pure awareness. Neuroscientists suggest it may be linked to the brain's metacognitive abilities, the ability to be aware of being aware. Consider this: if you can observe your thoughts, then you must be separate from them. Imagine sitting on the side of a river, watching the water flow by. The river is like your thoughts, constantly moving, changing, and flowing. But you are not the river. You are the one watching it. This realization is at the heart of mindfulness and self-awareness. You are not your thoughts. You are the awareness that notices them. But if we are not our thoughts, then why do we identify so strongly with them? This is where the ego comes in. The ego is not just arrogance or self-importance. It's the psychological sense of I. It's the collection of memories, beliefs, fears, and labels we attach to ourselves. Your name, your past experiences, your opinions, your dreams. These are all thought constructs that the mind weaves into a story. And that story becomes your identity. But what happens when you stop identifying with that story? When you realize that thoughts are just passing patterns of energy, not an absolute truth, you begin to experience something profound. Freedom. Freedom from overthinking, freedom from self-doubt, freedom from suffering created by the mind. Because if you are not your thoughts, then their content, whether good or bad, has no power over you. Neuroscience shows that thoughts are generated by electrical impulses firing between neurons. But does that mean consciousness is just a product of the brain? Some scientists argue that consciousness is more fundamental, like a field of awareness that the brain taps into rather than produces. This idea aligns with ancient spiritual perspectives that describe consciousness as the primary reality, while thoughts and perceptions are just temporary expressions of it. In other words, your true self isn't in your head. Your true self is the space in which all thoughts, emotions, and sensations appear. It is the silence beneath the noise. Understanding this intellectually is one thing. But how do you actually experience the truth of it? Here are some powerful ways to detach from thought and reconnect with your deeper awareness. Meditation, the art of observing thought. Sit in silence and watch your thoughts arise. Instead of engaging with them, simply notice them, like watching clouds pass in the sky. Over time, this practice weakens your identification with thought. 2. The power of now. Shift into presence. Bring your attention to the present moment. Feel the weight of your body, the sensation of your breath, the sounds around you. When you are fully present, thought loses its grip on you. 3. Question your thoughts. Are they true? Not every thought is a fact. Many are distortions, fears, or conditioned responses. When you question a thought's validity, you break its control over you. 4. Realize that thoughts are not you. The next time a negative or fearful thought appears, remind yourself, this is just a passing thought. It is not me. It does not define me. 3. Question your thoughts. Are they true? Not every thought is a fact. Many are distortions, fears, or conditioned responses. When you question a thought's validity, you break its control over you. 4. Realize that thoughts are not you. The next time a negative or fearful thought appears, remind yourself, this is just a passing thought. It is not me. It does not define me. If you are not your thoughts, then who are you? You are the silent witness. The space in which everything appears. The awareness beyond the mind. Your thoughts are like waves on the ocean. But you are the ocean itself. Once you wake up to this realization, your relationship with the mind changes forever. Thoughts no longer control you. Fear loses its grip. And a profound inner peace arises, because you finally see yourself as you truly are, a being of pure awareness. Free. Infinite. Untouched by the storms of the mind. So the next time a thought arises, simply ask yourself, who is thinking this? And in that moment of deep silence, you'll know. Real stories of breaking free from the mind. We'll explore real stories of people who discovered this truth, and how it changed their lives forever. The man who escaped his own mind. David was a businessman living under constant stress. His mind never stopped racing. Worries about deadlines, fears of failure, thoughts about what others thought of him. One night, he lay awake in bed, exhausted but unable to sleep. His thoughts were overwhelming. But then something strange happened. He asked himself, who is thinking all of this? For the first time, he didn't try to stop his thoughts. He just watched them. And he realized, I am not these thoughts. They are just passing through my mind. That moment changed everything. Over time, he practiced mindfulness, learning to detach from his thoughts. Stress no longer controlled him. He still had worries, but they no longer owned him. He was free. The woman who stopped believing her negative thoughts. Sarah struggled with self-doubt her whole life. She constantly thought, I'm not good enough. I'll never succeed. People don't really like me. One day, she read something that hit her like a lightning bolt. Not every thought is true. She decided to test it. Every time a negative thought appeared, she asked herself, is this thought a fact? Or just a habit? Most of the time, she realized the thoughts were just old patterns, nothing more. They had no real power. By questioning her thoughts instead of believing them, she rewired her mind. Today, she is more confident and peaceful than ever before, not because she changed herself, but because she stopped identifying with the voice in her head. The prisoner who found freedom without leaving his cell. There's a famous story of a man who spent years in prison for a crime he didn't commit. He had every reason to be angry, bitter, and consumed by negative thoughts. But instead, he made a decision. I may be in prison, but my mind will not be. He spent his days meditating, observing his thoughts instead of being trapped by them. He discovered that while his body was confined, his consciousness was limitless. No one could imprison his awareness. Years later, when he was finally freed, he said, I was free long before I left that cell. This story shows a powerful truth. No matter your circumstances, you are not a prisoner of your mind. You can always step back and watch your thoughts instead of being ruled by them. Right now, as you listen, thoughts may be appearing in your mind. But take a moment. Step back. And notice the silence beneath them. That silence, that presence, is the real you. Once you realize this, thoughts no longer define you. Fear loses its grip. And you become truly free. So the next time a thought arises, don't resist it. Don't fight it. Just ask, who is thinking this? And in that moment of deep stillness, you'll know.